Good evening, namaskar everybody. Let us start with a prayer from the Vedas. This is on page 46 of the book, The Universal Prayers, the second one on that page. Om Vagme Manasi Pratishtita Mano Me Vachi Pratishtitam Aviravir Maedhi Vedasya Manistha Shrutam Me Ma Prahasi Anena Aditena Ahoratran Sandadhami Ritam Vadishyami Satyam Vadishyami Tanmamavato Tadvaktaramavato Avatomam Avatu Vaktaram. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om. May my speech be fixed in the mind. May my mind be fixed in the speech. O self-manifested Atman, do thou manifest thyself unto me. O my mind and speech, may ye be fit to reveal unto me the highest knowledge. May I not forget what I have heard. Without forgetting what I have learned, may I be able to study day and night. The right will I speak. The truth will I speak. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. May Brahman protect me. May Brahman protect the preceptor. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. The topic for this evening's study is study of scriptures in spiritual life. In the Vedas and Upanishads, many times we read instructions from the sages that we should study the scriptures every day. Swadhyaya, it is called. The volume of scriptures in our Hindu Sanatana Dharma is immeasurably large, and it is still growing, beginning from the earliest Vedas, Rig Veda, which is considered to be the earliest of the known spiritual literature, scripture. Some people say it is as old as 8,000 years old, but modern Western scholars say it is about 3,000 or 4,000 years old. Whatever it is, it's a very old ancient scripture. The earliest known scripture, spiritual scripture known to us. Mostly, and the most ancient scriptures are the four Vedas. These four Vedas, which are called Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, Atharva Veda, they are not composed by any human being. They are called Apaurushayam. Purusha means a human being. Apaurushayam means not created by human being. Nobody sat down and wrote these things like other books. It was revealed to the ancient sages in the deepest state of intuition, meditation. It was revealed to them. Shrutam, it's called Shruti. That is why we give great importance in respect to the Vedas. They were not created by any human being. These four Vedas, each of them has four parts. The first part in each Veda is called a Samhita portion, Samhita. That means in the first part, earliest part, the Vedas contain hymns to various Vedic deities, such as Indra, Varuna, Agni, Yama, Surya, Vishnu, others. Full of hymns, devotional hymns. Second part, each Veda has what is called Brahmana. This word Brahmana should not be confused with the caste Brahmana. Nothing to do with that. Brahmana contains description of the Vedic rituals. Elaborate Vedic rituals are described in the second part called Brahmana portion of the Vedas, 4 Vedas. The third part is called Aranyaka. Aranya means forest. Aranyaka means the third part of Vedas are meant for meditation in the forest by seekers of knowledge, seekers of God. In the Vanaprastha ashrama, people used to give up their families and everything and go to the forest and live in the forest meditating all day. That meditation, for that meditation, the Aranyaka portions provide the passages explaining the mystical significance of the rituals described in the earlier portion. In the Brahmana portion, Aranyaka portion contains the mystical explanation of the rituals for meditation. The last part of every Upanishad is called Upanishad. Many Upanishads are there. 12 of them are considered, 10 or 12 of them are considered major Upanishads, and there are many more than 100 minor Upanishads. These are the ones in which we are interested, students of Vedanta. Upanishads contain the philosophical teachings on the nature of the ultimate reality, described as Atman or Brahman. Vedanta says there's only one ultimate reality, and that is called Brahman, pure consciousness, Sachidananda, infinite, eternal, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahman. That's the only thing in existence, is in existence. And what we see, the world, so many different things we are saying in the world, they're all nothing but manifestations of that ultimate reality. How that manifestation occurs, there are several theories. Sri Ramakrishna believes that Divine Mother herself has become the universe and all the beings. That is Shakti Parinamavada. Different names are there for these theories. We don't have to go into details at this time. Some people say Brahman himself has transformed himself into the universe. Parinamavada. Real change has taken place. So like this, there are different views. And some people say this whole universe which you are witnessing in the waking state is only a dream-like reality. It doesn't really exist outside of the waking state. Just like dream disappears, dream is real when it is happening, but when you wake up, we know it was not real. Like that, this waking state is also. When you go into Turiya or Samadhi, then waking state didn't even exist. That realization will come. Like this, there are different views in the Upanishads and in the commentaries on the Upanishads. Seekers of God, devotees, we study some of the Upanishads to some extent. Then there is another class of another scripture called the Brahmasutras. First, Vedas and the Upanishads. Part of the Vedas are Upanishads. Second one is Brahmasutra. Sutra means aphorism, like Narada Bhakti Sutra, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Brahmasutra. These Brahmasutras, more than 500 in number, were composed by a great sage called Badarayana, also called Vyasa. They contain substantiation of the Vedantic statements made in the various Upanishads. For example, the Upanishad says, Sarvam Kalividam Brahma, this whole universe is Brahman, one statement in the Upanishad. The Brahmasutras explain that with a robust logical reasoning and refuting all other opposing ideologies and theories. So that is Brahmasutra. It is not studied generally by the devotees, it's studied by scholars because it's a work of logic. If you study Upanishads, we get the truth. Then the third scripture, Upanishads, Brahmasutra, third one is Bhagavad Gita. These three we are considering. There's a reason for that. This is the most familiar scripture, Bhagavad Gita. As you know, it's a part of the Mahabharata, 18 chapters containing 700 verses. We will talk more about Bhagavad Gita later. These three things taken together, Upanishads, major Upanishads, Brahmasutra, and the Bhagavad Gita, or the three of them are called together Prasthanatrayam. That's a term you come across when you read Vedanta literature. Prasthanatrayam. Prasthana means departure. In the airports, you see the announcer, next Prasthan. Security जांच के लिए प्रस्थान कीजिए, like this they will say in the airport in India. Prasthana means departure. Departs from where to where? To go where? These three scriptures, Upanishads, Brahmasutra, and Bhagavad Gita, they are the three gateways. Three gateways for our departure from this world of ignorance to self-knowledge, to the light of knowledge, from ignorance to knowledge. Asatama sadgamaya, from the unreal to the real. That departure is made possible through one of these three scriptures. Upanishad, Bhagavad Gita, Brahmasutra. Of these three scriptures, most devotees like us who are interested in the practice rather than in becoming scholars, we are interested in the study of the Bhagavad Gita, and maybe some Upanishads like Katha Upanishad, Mandaka Upanishad. These are common. Taittiriya Upanishad, these are common studied Upanishads. Then there is another class of scriptures called the Puranas. The word Purana means old. In Hindi, you say Purana, old. Purana means ancient scriptures. They are mythological scriptures. Some parts of the Puranas are based on some historical facts, stories of kings and sages. Some of them are historical. Some of them contain a lot of interesting stories to convey a message. The story part is interesting, but not the main thing. The main thing is the point, the teaching behind the story that we have to grasp. In the Puranas, we come across many interesting stories. The message of Sanatana Dharma, Vedanta, contained in the Vedas, Upanishads, and Gita, they're all contained in the Puranas in a more interesting way, easy to understand way. The Puranas, through stories, they give us a lot of knowledge about the creation of the universe, Srishti, maintenance and dissolution, Sthiti and Laya of this universe, genealogies and stories of great sages and kings. Many, many great sages. Stories are there, their teachings. Description of the 10 divine incarnations, Dashavatara, all those things come in the Puranas. There are 18 major Puranas. Of the 18, only one Purana is the most important one, most familiar one, most prominent one is Bhagavata Purana. Bhagavatam or Bhagavata Purana. More than 100 minor Upanishads or minor Puranas are there. But 18 of them are major Puranas. Most people study the 18 of the 18 or more of the 18 Puranas. Of the 18 Puranas, Bhagavatam is the most important scripture. The main part of Bhagavatam is Sri Krishna's story and his teachings, but it also contains a lot of teachings on other yogas, Jnana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, and Raja Yoga. All these things are described and instructions are given in the Bhagavata Mahapuranam, but Bhakti is the main theme of the Bhagavatam. Besides the Puranas and Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita and Brahmasutras and the Vedas, there are numerous other scriptures, too numerous to mention. They include other independent works by great sages, commentaries on the Upanishads by the great acharyas, Shankaracharya, Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, all have written commentaries on the Upanishads, those commentaries, and commentaries on those commentaries. Some other people have commented on the commentaries of Shankaracharya, those secondary commentaries, a lot of them, and Tantra scriptures, a different class of scriptures for practitioners of Tantra, and the 6 philosophical systems in India. In India, there was freedom of thought. The sages did not say this is the only way, everybody has to follow this. They didn't say that one. They gave freedom to people to think. and come up with original ideas, unlike in some other cultures. So that freedom of thought gave rise to numerous scriptures. Everything has some significance and importance. The 6 major philosophies of Hindu Dharma, they are called Nyaya, Vaisheshika, Sankhya, Yoga, Mimamsa, and Vedanta. Vedanta supersedes most of the other earlier philosophies, most refined philosophy in the Upanishads. So we study only Vedanta. In Vedanta study, in books like Bhagavad Gita, some parts of Sankhya are also mixed up, but we have to separate them. And when we study Gita, we will know what is Sankhya, what is Vedanta. So many other scriptures are there. Besides these, there are Smritis. Smritis are codes of conduct, like Manusmriti, Parashara Smriti, Yajnavalkya Smriti. Many sages have written codes of conduct, how people should behave in the Brahmacharya ashrama, in the Grihastha ashrama, what are the duties in the Vanaprastha ashrama, Sanyasa ashrama. All these duties, what to do, what should not be done, are described in the Smriti scriptures. Manusmriti is a good example of that one. And besides these, the teachings of numerous teachers, great acharyas, like Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the great sages, recent sages like Papa Ramdas, Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Swamiji, and their disciples. Very many books are there, too numerous to mention. Fortunately, we don't have to study all of them. One little bit of study is only necessary. We'll study what is necessary, how much is necessary. That's the main topic. Then there is the most important scripture for people like us, following the path of Sri Ramakrishna Vedanta, the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna and Bhagavad Gita. These two are necessary and sufficient. They contain all the information. Any one of them contains all the information needed for spiritual practice and achievement of God realization. We don't need anything more if we study them. Then, how much study has to be done? Scriptures. And how much is necessary? That is the next topic. In the Upanishads, the importance of study of scriptures is called Swadhyaya. Swa-adhyaya, self-study or study of scriptures, generally it is called. It is very important. Many times it is repeatedly emphasized, the instruction to study scriptures. For example, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, the Gurukulam teacher gives final instructions to graduating students. After some 8, 10 years, 12 years, the students leave, start their own life. Some of them become Vedanta teachers, some of them become householders and pursue their life. They got this final instruction, valedictory instructions. In those final instructions, the teacher, the Rishi, Gurukulam teacher, gives many instructions. One of them is Swadhyaya. After teaching all the Vedas and other scriptures, teacher says, Satyam Vada. Always follow the first instruction, truthfulness, most important. Dharmam Chara, follow the path of Dharma. Never do any adharmic thought or action. Third one is Swadhyaya Ma Pramadaha. Never forget to study scriptures. Swadhyaya means study of scriptures, Vedic scriptures and other scriptures. Pramada means forgetfulness, failure to do something which we have to do. That should not be done. We should study scriptures every day. Swadhyaya pravachana vyam na pramadita vyam, Upanishad says. Pravachana means what we study and understand, we come to communicate to the next generation, students who are willing to learn from us. Pravachana is also important. That's how, from the beginning of the creation, Vedas were created at the time of creation, we believe. That has come down to us generation after generation in an unbroken Guru Shishya Parampara, teacher-disciple Parampara. Verbally, we have to study from a teacher. Reading from books is not enough. For some subjects, it is enough. But for Vedanta, we have to study from a teacher. That is our convention. Guru Shishya Parampara. That's how we have come. So that's why it says Swadhyaya Pravachana. Both are necessary. Study scriptures and communicate it to those who are interested to study from us. Pravachana. In the Shikshavalli, first part of the Taittiriya Upanishad, in one passage, in the first chapter, this instruction to study and communicate, Swadhyaya Pravachana, has been mentioned 9 times in one paragraph. So much importance has been given in the Upanishads to study of scriptures. That is one part. Scriptures say you have to study scriptures. Now, the other side to this one. The same Upanishads, which emphasize study of scriptures, also say the opposite. In the Katha Upanishad, in the Mundaka Upanishad, there are passages which say, by study of scriptures, you won't realize God. Clearly, they say plainly, by study of scriptures, you will not be able to realize Atma Sakshatkara, you won't get it, they say. There is a passage in both Katha and Mundaka Upanishad which says, Nayamatma pravachanena labhyaha na medhaya na bahuna shrutena. Ayamatma, this Atman or Brahman, our true nature, which we truly are, cannot be realized, nalabhyaha, cannot be obtained, experienced by Swadhyaya Pravachana. But they are necessary earlier, they said, other Upanishads. Here it says, Nayamatma Pravachana Nalabhyaha. Not by talking about, reading about Atman. We can't realize Atman. Then is it not a contradiction? In one Upanishad, they say study scripture every day. In this Upanishad, you can't realize Atman by study of scripture. So what do we make out of this? Really not a contradiction. They have to be taken together. It means that study of scriptures is necessary for all seekers of God, but not sufficient. We should not stop with the study of scriptures. We should put into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. The scriptures, they tell us what is the goal of life and how to achieve it. That's all they do. Now, after studying the scriptures, we have to determine to achieve the goal. We have to put into practice the instructions given in the scriptures. That's what the meaning of these two statements are. So we have to study scriptures, but not stop there. We have to practice what the scriptures ask us to do in spiritual life. Then only we can achieve God realization. Then we come to Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. Sri Ramakrishna, in the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, we find at least 15-20 times mention of scripture study. Some of them I will share with you from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna was not encouraging very much study of the scriptures. He said to some extent it is necessary, but not too much study. I'll read some passages from the Gospel. Too much study of the scriptures does more harm than good. This from the Gospel. The important thing is to know the essence of the scriptures. The saramsha, the essence of the scriptures. After that, what is the need of books? One should learn the essence and then dive deep in order to realize God. Put into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. Then, in the second passage, the Divine Mother has revealed to me the essence of the Vedanta. See, Sri Ramakrishna did not study books, but he had all the knowledge of all the books. How did he get that one without studying even one book? In his childhood, he used to carefully get attention, listen to the discussions of the wandering monks who used to go pass through Kamarpukur to go to pilgrimage places like Puri and other places in the eastern part of India. He would listen to them carefully. And he had a phenomenal memory. Whatever he listened once, he could retain in his mind. That was how the memory was. So he would remember everything. Later on, when he was talking to his disciples, Sri Ramakrishna would mention many scriptures like Vidhyatma Ramayana, Ashtavakra Samhita, Bhagavad Gita, and all those scriptures he would say in the Vedas, this is like this, this is like this, like that. How did he know? Not by book study, but by listening. Sravana. So he said, the essence of the Divine Mother has revealed to me the essence of the Vedanta. He got directly from the Divine Mother knowledge of the scriptures. It is that Brahman alone is real and the world illusory. That's the essence of all Vedanta books. Hundreds of thousands of books are there. What do they all say? Brahman is real, the world is unreal. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. In one phrase. Brahman is real, Brahma Satyam. Real means always present, eternal, infinite, unchanging. Unreal means temporarily present, changes constantly and goes away. It is a beginning and an end. So that's not to be pursued. The whole world is unreal in that respect. It was not there at some point in time. Whole world, universe came into existence at some point at the time of creation. It is there now, changing every moment, and will go away, go out of existence. Even the solar system, the sun, and this galaxy of which we are a small part, the Milky Way, and all those galaxies will eventually disintegrate and go and merge into the black hole, and nothing remains. It's a fate of all things created, things, living beings, non-living beings, everything, whole of nature. So that is the essence. What is real then? Only thing that always exists, Brahman, and that we truly are. We are not the body, mind. That's the essence of Vedanta. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. This he got from the Divine Mother herself directly. He says, the essence of the Gita is what you get by repeating the word 10 times. Gita, Gita, Gita. If you say 10 times, we hear also saying Gita, Gita, Gita. Tyagi means one who does renunciation. Tyag karne wala, tyagi hai. One who gives up, renounces worldly attachments is a tyagi. Tyaga is the essence of Gita. If you ask me, I've said this before, if you ask me to convey in one word the whole essence of the Gita, it's 100 slokas, only one word, summary, is tyaga, renunciation, detachment. Sangam tyaktva, many times Krishna says Sangam tyaktva, giving up attachment. That's one teaching of Gita, Bhagavad Gita. Like that. The essence of the Gita is, Sri Ramakrishna says, the essence of the Gita is, O man, renounce everything and practice spiritual discipline for the realization of God. Then there was a Pandit Shashadhar Tarka Chudamani. He visited Sri Ramakrishna, great Pandit scholar. To him, Sri Ramakrishna said like this, that Pandit was a great scholar, he had read all the scriptures, he had read. So Sri Ramakrishna says to him, there are many scriptures like the Vedas, but one cannot realize God without austerity and spiritual discipline. God cannot be found in the six systems of the Vedas and Tantras. You can't find God in books, in the scriptures. How do we find God? By austerity and spiritual discipline. All the scriptures do is to tell us what kind of austerities we should do, what's the goal of life, and how to reach the goal. Teacher will help us in understanding the meaning of the scriptures. Then we have to plunge into practice. Keep aside the books. That is the essence of Sri Ramakrishna's teaching. Then he says, continues in the gospel, but one should learn the contents of the scriptures and then act according to their injunctions. Injunction means teachings of the scriptures. A man lost a letter, this parable. A man got a letter from a relative. He could not remember where he had put the letter. He lost it somewhere. He began to search for the letter with a lamp. He began to search for it with a lamp. After 2 or 3 people had searched, the letter was found. They found the letter. The message in the letter was, the letter said, please send 5 shares of sandesh and 1 piece of wearing cloth, dhoti. That's all the letter contained. And after reading the letter, the man puts the letter away. goes to the bazaar, buys the sandesh, 5 shares and a dhoti, and sends it to the man who requested it. Other than that, if you keep on simply reading the letter over and over again and not go to the bazaar, do anything, then what's the purpose? Mere study of scriptures, not following the instructions in the scriptures, is of no use. We become experts in citing quoting the shlokas and commentaries and grammar and all those things, discussion, argument, philosophy, but no result. We'll stay where we are. So action, putting into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. That is the main thing, purpose of studying scriptures. Then he says, Sri Ramakrishna says, better than reading is hearing. Shravanam means hearing. And better than hearing is seeing in practice. Holy company, we see how holy people live, what they do. One understands the scriptures better by hearing them from the lips of the Guru or a holy man, sadhu. Then one does not have to think about their non-essential part. Scriptures are sometimes confusing. They say one thing here, next chapter they say something else. So when that confusion comes, a teacher can clarify the confusion and help us to understand clearly the meaning of the scriptures. So Guru is necessary. Then he says, the almanac forecasts the rainfall of the year. Kunjika, almanac. It says in Indian almanac, it says farmer's almanac, it says how much rain will come when. But not a drop of water will you get by squeezing the almanac. Not even a drop. This example he gives several times in the gospel. If only the scriptures are like almanac. It says what is the goal of life, how to reach it. But that's all this purpose of scriptures. We have to read that, understand that, and put into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. Spiritual practice, which one, so many different paths are there. In our Hindu Dharma, not one path, many different paths are there. Paths are many, goal is one. To resolve, to understand what is the best path suited to each one of us, we require the help of a guru. Most of the people require a guru. The guru will say, this is the path for you, this is your Ishtadevata, this is the spiritual practice you have to do. Guru's role will come into the picture then. How long should one reason about the text of the scriptures? So long as one does not have direct realization of God. Once we realize God, then the book has served its purpose. Then we don't have to study any more scriptures. It's just like after crossing the river in a boat, when you go to the other shore, then you leave the boat and keep walking. You don't carry the boat with you because purpose is done. Books are like that. Scriptures are like that. They will tell us how to reach the goal. Once you reach the goal, then book has served its purpose. You put it aside. That is why what is there? What good is there in reading a whole lot of scriptures? What good is there in the study of philosophy? Too much philosophy, discussion, argument, different theories, different vadas. Narayan Shastri used to say, one of the devotees used to say, the harmful effect of the study of the scriptures is that it encourages reasoning and arguing. Simply arguing. One philosopher said this, another philosopher said something different, which is right, which is wrong. Like this, a lot of time, energy are wasted, a lot of heat, but no light. Light comes from mere argument. The way lies through discrimination, renunciation, and passionate yearning for God. 3 things Sri Ramakrishna mentioned. Viveka, Vairagya, and Vyakulata. 3 things he mentioned. These 3 things have to be done after reading scripture. Then scripture has served its purpose. Viveka, differentiating what is right, what is wrong, what is true, what is real, what is unreal, and pursuing the real and giving up attachment to the unreal, worldly things. They are temporary, they will go away. That we know from the Gita. And Vairagya means giving up attachment to worldly things which are temporary, which promise a lot but deliver very little. That you know from the study of the Gita. Relationships, property, possession, success, fame, whatever. In the beginning, it is all very good. very nice, happy. But when they leave, then unhappiness will come. Sooner or later, separation will come. They will be there, we have to live, or I will be there, they will live. That's inevitable. So they are not to be dependent. They are not reliable, worldly things of happiness. Only God realizes. To realize God, we have a strong urge must be there. Yearning, Vyakulata must be there. Restlessness, like Sri Ramakrishna had. One day has gone, I have not seen God. One more day has been wasted. Not many days are left in our lives. That kind of urgency, Vyakulata must be there. If that is there, then scripture has done its purpose. There is no need to read too much of the scripture. It's all from the gospel I'm reading. There is no need to read too much of the scriptures. If you read too much, you will be inclined to reason and argue. Nangta means Tutapuri. He was called Nangta because he was a naked sadhu. Nangta used to teach me this. What you get by repeating the word Gita 10 times is the essence of the book. In other words, if you repeat Gita 10 times, it is reversed into Tagi, which indicates renunciation, detachment. All essence of Gita is only detachment. Detachment, not having attachment to property, possessions, children, relatives, job, work, money, nothing. In the body also. No attachment to the body. Body is not I. It's an object, which I have, like the garment. The body is compared to a garment in the Gita, 2nd chapter, Shloka 22. So you should not become attached. It will go away one day. It will deteriorate and go away. No attachment. Take care of it as long as it is there. Be thankful it is there. Is useful. But once it has served its purpose, it will leave. I have to leave. Then it has done its purpose. Thank you for helping me in my life to reach my goal. That's the purpose of body. No attachment. When a devotee quoted a line from the Taittiriya Upanishad, Sri Ramakrishna was talking, one devotee quotes a line from Taittiriya Upanishad. Sri Ramakrishna said to that man, "Oh, stop. One cannot understand the meaning of the scriptures without practicing spiritual discipline. The Pandits glibly quote the scriptures, but what will they accomplish? What will that accomplish? What is the mere use of merely repeating, there is butter in the milk? Turn the milk into curd and churn it, only then you will get better. What will you gain? What will one gain by merely quoting or hearing scriptures? One must assimilate them like that, put into practice what the scriptures say. Like that, Sri Ramakrishna's teachings continue many occasions, the same thing. Study is not enough. Some study is necessary to know the essence of scriptures, what is the goal of life, how to reach it. Then put the book aside and start practice. Plunge into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. Determine a path with the help of a teacher, and then spiritual life practice begins. That's the purpose of scriptures, extent to which we have to study. And then one more passage I will read. What will it avail a man to have mere scholarship? A Pandit may have studied many scriptures, he may recite many sacred texts, but if he is still attached to the world and inwardly he loves woman and gold, that means worldly desires, then he has not assimilated the contents of the scriptures. For such a man, the study of scriptures is useless. What's the use? In the mind, so all kinds of desires are there, and so much knowledge, quoting all the scriptures, that's of no use. Exactly what Sri Ramakrishna said, Shankaracharya had already said before. In a briefly he had said, and Viveka Chudamani, which many of you know, only 2 or 3 shlokas I will refer to that briefly. There he says, mere spoken word, Vaikhari, Shabda Bhagvaikari, mere spoken word, torrential shower of words, Shabdagari Shastra Vyakhyana Kausalam, proficiency in explaining the scriptures, scholarship, these merely bring a little personal enjoyment to the scholar, but are not good for liberation, don't bring liberation. Vagvaikari Shabdajari Shastra Vyakhyana Kausalam, Vaidushyam Vidisham Tadvad Bhuktaye Natu Muktaye. Bhukti means worldly enjoyment. Fame will come, reward will come, titles will be given, money will come, people will praise, great scholar like that. But no mukti. It's not good. Shankaracharya says. Then he says, this verse number 58 in Vivekananda. Verse number 59, same thing. Avijñāte pare tattve shastra dhītistu nishphala. Vijñāte pare tattve shastra dhītistu nishphala. Shastra dhīti means mastery of scriptures. Is nishphala, is of no use. When God has been realized. Pare tattve avijñāte. If God has not been realized, then mere scriptural knowledge is of no use. If God has been realized, Vijñāte pare tattve, supreme truth has been known, then also scriptures are of no use. Then what's the use of scriptures? Just in the beginning, the scriptures tell us what is the goal of life, purpose of human life, why we are born as human beings, and how to reach the goal. Different paths are described. That is all the scriptures do. Other than that, continuing the scriptures for scholarship will bring fame and its own benefits. Academic scholarship will bring fame, money, things like that, but not liberation. Then now we come back to Bhagavad Gita, why it is the most important scripture. Earlier we talked about the three things: Upanishads, Brahmasutras, Bhagavad Gita. Three are called Prasthanatrayam, three gateways to liberation, self-knowledge. Among these three, for most spiritual seekers like us, the Bhagavad Gita is the most important scripture because Brahmasutra is out of question. It's all logical reasoning, very complicated logic, refuting other schools like Buddhism, etc., establishing Vedantic truth, already said in the Upanishads. So that is not for seekers, it is for scholars. They will study, they will explain, they will talk about it, write books about it. That's good, but not necessary for us. You are seekers of God. You are interested in God realization, not in scholarship. And then what about the Upanishads? To some extent, it is okay to study Upanishads, some major Upanishads like Taittiriya Upanishad, Katha Upanishad, Mundaka Upanishad, we can study. They are helpful and get the essence and then put into practice what the Upanishads say. And what about the Bhagavad Gita? That is the one important scripture which gives us everything. Upanishad gives Atma Jnana, Adhyatma Vidya. Upanishad has knowledge of the self. What is Brahman? What's its nature? What is reality? It says that. Upanishad does not say much practical instruction. Do this, do that. It will not. There's not much instruction. Adhyatma Vidya is there. Yoga Shastra is not there. Yoga Shastra means practical instruction. How to do spiritual practice. It's not much in the Upanishads. Then Gita has all of them. Gita has some philosophy. It has non-dualism, Advaita Vedanta in the earlier chapter, second chapter, fourth chapter, etc. It has Bhakti Yoga in the first chapter. Karma Yoga throughout the Gita comes, it comes. Jnana Yoga comes, and meditation, Raja Yoga comes in sixth chapter. It's not everything, but besides philosophy, more important, Gita contains practical instructions, many instructions. Several places in the Gita. Many practical things that we actually can do and have to do and must do to reach the goal. That's where Gita study becomes very important. Upanishad does not give us many instructions. It tells about the nature of reality. That's good. But Gita does both. Adhyatma Vidya, Yoga Shastra, both are contained in the Gita. That's why it is very important. And it's simpler language. Upanishad language is Vedic Sanskrit. Gita language is more modern, more recent. Mahabharata, part of Mahabharata. That's why for people like us, study of Bhagavad Gita is very important. Then, these days in our center here, we read some book in the evening after meditation, Arati and meditation, book reading, group reading. We are studying the letters of Swami Brahmarupananda, disciple of Holy Mother. The compilation of letters that he wrote are called Go Forward. There, in almost every letter, he mentions at least one Gita shloka. At least one Gita shloka he refers to in every letter. And in many letters, he has told the disciple to whom he wrote the letters, he has told that serious spiritual seekers must try to memorize the Gita. Many times he has said that one. Now, Holy Mother did not give much emphasis to scripture study. Holy Mother's teaching was all bhakti and simple repetition of God's name, simple instruction people would follow. But once she gave instruction, there was a young Swami Tanmayananda, one of Holy Mother's disciples. To him, Holy Mother said like this, only once she said like this. She said, every day read one chapter of the Gita. Holy Mother said to Swami Tanmayananda, young monk. And if you don't have time to read one chapter, chant a few slokas from the Gita. Every day you must do this. This is the only time she gave instruction on study of scriptures in the Holy Mother's life. Patanjali has also talked about Swadhyaya, but not in the sense of study of scriptures. There is one sutra in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Some of our people are here studying Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Swami Atmagandhi is teaching it Monday nights. There only one sutra is there. That sutra says, Swadhyayad Ishtadevata Samprayogaha. Swadhyaya means not reading of scriptures. A different meaning Patanjali gives. There, Swadhyaya means repetition of mantra or repetition of Om. By doing japa, repeating mantra, we can realize our Ishtadevata, we can know God. It's a different context. Narada Maharshi is mentioned in the scripture study only once. I'm concluding in a few minutes, then we can have questions. Narada Maharshi in the Bhakti Sutras, he has only one sutra. There he says, Bhakti Shastrani Mananiyani Tadudbodhaka Karmani Karaneyani. Bhakti Shastra means devotional scriptures. He did not refer to Upanishads. They are Jnana Marga scriptures, the nature of reality, Brahman, Atman. But Puranas and Bhagavata, they are devotional scriptures. He said, Bhakti Shastrani Mananiyani. Mananam means reflection, not only study. Savanam Mananam Nididhyasana. They have to be reflected upon, studied and reflected upon. Then he says, very important, Narada's instruction, Tadudbodhaka Karmani Karaneyani. All the karmas, instructions, practices that the scriptures, Bhakti Shastra tell us to do, we should do it. Then only study of scriptures will be useful, fruitful. Otherwise, simply reading is not good. So to conclude, there is a parable. There was a Pandit who was well read in all the scripture. He knew Raja Yoga, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, and Vedanta, Sankhya, everything he had studied. He was traveling in a boat, but in the middle of the river, there was a storm and the boat started swaying, was about to sink. The other passengers, he was asking, did you study Gita? Did you study Patanjali? Did you study Yoga Shastra? They said, no, sir, we don't know, simple people. But when the boat began to sink, the passenger asked him, do you know how to swim? No, he was very sad. No, I can't swim. All the other people knew how to swim. They did not know Yoga Shastra, Gita, Upanishad, ordinary people. But they could swim, they swam and went to the shore. What happened is the Pandit. So mere scholarship like that, without practice, is of no use. So an ounce of practice is far more useful than a lot of theoretical study. Scriptures are like recipe books. I give 2 examples. Scriptures like recipe book. The recipe book says to prepare one particular dish, what are the ingredients to be acquired and how to process them, how to cook them, how many minutes baking or whatever, at what temperature, which things to mix when. Then if you do all those things, you will get the dish, food. We keep on reading scripture, the recipes, without going to the supermarket and bringing the stuff mentioned in the recipe, we'll become expert in chanting the recipes back and forth. In English and French, you can all the recipes you can memorize. But where is the food? Nothing on the table. That's not good. Scriptures tell us what to do, how to do. We have to put into practice what the scriptures ask us to do. One thing. Second example is the purpose of scriptures is to know what to do. They are like road maps. Before the GPS came, when you had to go from long distance drive for driving, you have to go to AAA office and get big maps. The AAA people used to, with a marker, they would show the road. Take this exit, go this far, and we follow that one. Road map. Scriptures are like that. They tell us what is the destination, where we have to go, how to reach there, what is the path that we can follow. That's all the scriptures do. We read the scriptures, understand the implication, instructions, and put into practice the instructions. Otherwise, simply keeping the reading is simply reading the roadmap. You're not getting to the car, sit down in your drawing room, keep on reading the roadmap. What happens? You become expert in map reading, but you'll not get anywhere. That's all the purpose of scriptures. I shall conclude with one very famous verse, shloka, from Shankaracharya's Bhajagovinda Stotra, one of the most famous and most beautiful compositions of Shankara. It has both jnana and bhakti and karma also. There he says, the first verse, Shankara was going somewhere, and in front of a house, an old man was sitting there, very old man. He was reading Panini's grammar aphorism, Panini's Vakarana Sutra, memorizing them, sutras. Then Shankara tells the man, you are a foolish person. Mudamate, you are a fool. Shankara tells, why? The very little time is left in your life. You are already very old. Whatever precious little time is left, you are wasting in memorizing Vyakarana Sutras. What good will it do? Instead, take the name of God. Little time is left. We are all in the same position now. As we grow old, time remaining becomes smaller and smaller. Day by day, we have little time left. So we should not waste the time in philosophical discussions, arguments, and worldly things. We should use every moment we have to take the name of God. Taking the name of God takes us to God. As Sri Ramakrishna, simple instruction. One instruction is enough. So many things are there. So many passages, everything is there. One instruction Sri Ramakrishna gives is repeat the name of God. That will take us to God. Like a chain connected to the log, the other end of the chain, every time we repeat God's name, I'm moving toward that chain a little bit, one link. So the stotra is, the shloka is, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate, Samprapte Sannihite Kale Nahi Rakshati Dukrim Karane. Mudamate, or foolish man, addressing the old man, memorizing grammar sutras. Govindam Bhaja. Take the name of Govinda, the Lord, Hari. Some kale, samnite, samprapte. When the time for departure comes, this grammar sutra will not help you. Dukrin karne nahi rakshati. It won't protect you. Dukrin karne is a sutra in grammar sutra. What does it do? Instead of chanting name of God, remember God at the time of last moment. As you study in the 8th chapter of the Gita, whatever we think in the last moment, there we go. Take the name of God and depart from this world, which is not our true place. God is our true place. We are strangers in this land. We can't stay here too long. We have to chant the name of God, take His name, spend our time, little time remaining, becoming less and less every day, very precious time. That is the purpose of scriptures, to know what to do, how to do it. So we have a few minutes for questions.
I have one question, Swamiji. We should learn Vedanta and all that from a teacher. Where to find those teachers these days? We have Swamis, they give talk for 1 hour talk, or whatever, but no Swami, no one has the time these days to really have one student, one-to-one, to give the instructions and to teach scripture. So how can it be possible at these times?
You're talking about teacher.
Yes, teacher, because
Need
he
for a
said that
teacher.
Vedanta should be taught by a teacher. Scripture should be taught by teacher. So, so where to find those teachers these days? And in the previous times,
Yeah.
it was one-to-one, the student will go and stay with the teacher or whatever it is. But now, how is that possible?
Sri Ramakrishna has explained, answered that question. At the right time, when the time is right, the teacher will come to us. But you have to keep on praying for a teacher. If a person does not have a teacher and wants to have a teacher, guru, you should pray to God. And when the appropriate time comes, God will himself send a teacher, come in the form of a teacher. He said, any human being who comes to you in the form of a teacher gives you instructions on spiritual life. Think of him as God himself coming in that form. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Deva Maheshwara. That will happen at the right time, and we have to keep on praying for that one if you don't have a teacher.
Sorry, my question is not that. My question is, you have a guru, that's fine. Even your guru does not have that much time to give instructions one-to-one, like, they study the whole scriptures, they study the whole Vedanta. So even your teacher does not have that much time for one-to-one
instruction is not always available.
Yes.
Only for a few people it's available. Some people have the good fortune of staying with their teachers and serving them daily. That's only for some other people have to lead their lives, job, family. So whatever instruction the teacher gives, and contact him as frequently as possible. These days we can contact by telephone, email, etc. and get the instructions. And whatever instruction the guru gives, used to follow that one, clarity will come slowly from within. And you have to contact the teacher. That is possible now, more possible, easier now than before because of all the communication facilities we have. Otherwise, nowadays in general instructions, you can find in so many talks, so many sovereigns giving very, very nice talks like Vivekananda Pranaji, Pravarajika, and Surapriyanji. Their talks are very popular, a lot of good information they are giving. There also we can get some information. And they answer questions. I know Surapriyanji answers questions, but we have to send them through email. Ask the Swami something like that, then he will answer the question. And our own teacher, if our teacher is not alive in a physical plane, then whatever instruction he or she had given, that we have to follow. And for more information, if we need, more guidance if we need, we can follow any other reputed Swami. We have Swami Sarada Devi actually is visiting us right now in our center. So he comes here twice a year. And he can be contacted by email or a phone. He's available to talk to devotees like other Swamis are available too. So that's like that we have to do.
Swamiji, Maharaj, I'm Manjusri from Raleigh. I have a question about this. You're talking about 6 philosophies of Hindu Dharma. What are those 6 philosophies? Can you please repeat again?
6 philosophies, they're called Shad Darshana. In India, the term for philosophy is Darshana. Darshana means seeing God, not theoretical study. The Shad Darshana, 6 philosophies are, first one is Nyaya. Nyaya means logic, logically establishing existence of God. Nyaya, Vaisheshika. I have not studied those philosophies. Even Vedanta study is so difficult. Nyaya, Vaisheshika, 2 systems. Then third one is Yoga, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra and other yoga books. Fourth one is Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya, we get a good dose of Sankhya in the Bhagavad Gita. In the 2nd chapter is called Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means knowledge. Sankhya Yoga means difference between Sankhya Vedanta is Vedanta believes only Brahman is real, world is unreal. Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. Sankhya believes world is also real. What you are experiencing is, you can't say it is unreal. So on that basis, Sankhya gives philosophy instructions. Yoga, Nyaya Vaisheshika, Yoga, Sankhya Yoga. Fifth one is Mimamsa, also called Purva Mimamsa. Mimamsa means inquiry into the nature of truth, reality. Sixth one is Vedanta. Uttara Mimamsa, it's also called. Nyaya Vaisheshika, Sankhya Yoga, Mimamsa, Vedanta. These are 6 traditional systems. There are other systems too, not very well known to many people, like Kashmir Shaivism and some other systems of philosophies by other teachers. But these are the major 6 philosophies based upon the Vedas.
Thank you. Another question I have is, you said for us, for Ramakrishna Mission devotees, reading Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is one scripture. We can take that. And what's the second one you said?
Bhagavad Gita. For most of us, people like, I'm talking to our group in Raleigh, we are Raleigh with a Maryland Center group, which I'm familiar. For us, Bhagavad Gita and Gospel are sufficient.
I have read in Swami Chaitananda's book that divine play.
Oh yeah, those are very interesting.
Yeah.
I was going to mention them.
Yeah, that
Those
is another
books by
one.
Swami Chaitananda are very important and interesting. Sri Ramakrishna and his divine play, Holy Mother and her divine play, and God lived with them, they lived with God, and so many other books. Recently in Bengali is published Prachin Sadhu Der Katha. That means biographies of the recent sadhus, like Swami Vireshwarananda, Swami Akhandananda, all those people. In our previous generation, he has written a very nice book in Bengali. I don't know, it may be coming in English too. So much information available about the lives and teachings of the great. Each one of them is a great sadhu, God realized disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. Their teachings are very important and simple. Right now in our center on Tuesday mornings, 10, 11 o'clock, we are studying Swami Atma Ganji's teaching one book called Spiritual Talks. It's a small book. It contains teachings of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna. Not all, some of them like Swami, like Holy Mother, are teachings. Swami Turiyananda and others, 3-4 some, Swami Premananda, etc. Their teachings, small book. Like that, so many scriptures are there.
So when we read books like this, so the way they, the author is writing, we could take that as, because the person is we like Turiyananda and all, they were realized people. So for them, what they're saying, we could take that as from their mouth, that we are listening to the scriptures, right? Instead of listening and going to all these the hard ones. If we read those books, my question to you is, there are lots of books available. So which one we should? I understand that Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna is the best one,
If you read that, you get everything we need to know.
And then other than that, there are books coming up. So which one we should really, will make us go to? All those books are good because it's coming from the different.
All the books are good, but how many can we read? There are so many thousands of books. So what we can do, you make one book as your central focus,
right.
Gospel. And then other books, to the extent possible, you can read Eternal Companion, Life and Teachings of Swami Brahmarupananda. You can read Mahapurush Maharaja's For Seekers of God, his life and teachings. And you can read the biographies of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Akhandananda, Swami Turiyananda, Swami other disciples, Vedanta, and Swami Advaitananda's teachings also. There is a book there. So he did not study any scriptures, Latu Maharaj. His teachings are in a book. He gave practical instructions. Somebody asked him how to control the mind, and he gave a very practical answer. No philosophy, nothing theory there. He said, look, when unwanted thought comes to the mind, Latu Maharaj said, look at the picture of Sri Ramakrishna and repeat his name. That we can all do, not difficult. So like that, all the direct disciples and their lives and teachings, we can do to the extent possible. We can't read everything. Our time is limited. Main focus is gospel. Other books to the extent possible. Not everything we cannot read.
Last question. Thank you for answering. My last question is, you said in your center you are reading a book of Go Forward. What's the name of the book? Please repeat. Go Forward. You said Go Forward.
Go Forward. That's the name of the book. Every day we read Go Forward. This Ushaji is showing that book.
How does this look like?
There's 3 volumes, but you have one complete volume 1, 3 in 1. That book also has come recently. Go Forward means all the letters that Swami Brahmarupananda, Holy Mother's disciple, wrote to his disciples. Very practical instructions. Every letter is a gem. Similarly, letters written by Swami Turiyananda in another book called Spiritual Treasures. Letters written by Swami Shivananda for spiritual seekers. Like this, many letters by Swami Vivekananda, written Swami Vivekananda's letters. Separate volume is there. Like this, as much as possible you read.
Thank you so
Everything
much.
we can't read, not necessary, not possible. Just keep one main book. Every day read that one, reflect on it, think about it, then read next passage like that.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Too much reading is not necessary, not possible, not good also. That's what Sri Ramakrishna said.
Thank you, Swamiji. If anybody else has a question, or we can have a closing prayer now.
Closing prayer, okay. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah, Sarve Santu Niramayah, Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu, Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may all be happy. May all be free from diseases and other problems. May all realize and practice what is noble and dharmic. May no one be subject to any kind of suffering. Om, peace. May there be peace and joy in our hearts. Adhyatmika Shanti. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. No hatred, no ill will. Adi Bhautika Shanti. May there be peace everywhere in nature. No suffering due to natural calamities. Adi Dailika Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all.